What is up, everyone? Good Monday morning, or whatever time it is that you're watching this. It's our final week of Kidmin. Sorry, I just kicked my desk. It's our final week of Kidmin for the year because the 27th, like we said, the 24th is a Thursday, Christmas Eve, no Kidmin. The 27th is a Sunday, and we will be having a family service, child dedication, no Kidmin. And then the 31st is New Year's Eve, no church. So not just no Kidmin, but no church. So if you're like, well, I'll just show up and go to church that night. Don't. So this is our last weekend, the 17th and 20th. And we are done with John the Baptist. We're going to talk about the angel coming to visit Mary. And the angel comes to visit Mary and says, hey, I have news for you. I have an announcement for you. Congratulations, it's a boy. And she goes, huh? And it turns out Mary is going to have a baby. And so the whole thing is that our big idea is that wait and see, God will do impossible things. And the story, sorry, I lost my camera. There we go. The big thing we're going to be talking with kids is like there are things in our life that seem impossible. And the next series we get into, actually the next two series we get into, we're really going to start following Jesus' life and ministry, where Jesus like really keeps doing all sorts of impossible things, so we can really tie that in and go, man, we're going to talk about Jesus' miracles. We're going to talk about Jesus' teachings. We're going to talk about Jesus as a kid and as an adult and all these sorts of things. I think our next story might be the next one we're in Kidmin for, I think, is Jesus tempted in the wilderness, where he basically goes toe to toe with Satan. And that's just the thing, we don't consider that like, oh, Satan's real, like not like real as in like we know he's real, but like, oh, like Satan physically presented himself. Like that's the thing we don't really consider. That seems impossible. So that's what we're talking about this week. So we're gonna open with a game. It is a Christmas miracle. We used to open with a game every single time. The problem was it takes so much time. So we're just planning for it. We're just going to open directly with a game. And if kids show up late, guess what? They miss the game. It just is what it is. So if you know someone who is typically showing up late, tell that family, hey, get your kids to church on time. The game is going to be, so you've heard of Elf on a Shelf. It's an on-screen game where we will put basically rhyming photos on the screen. So, for example, it may have our 44th president sitting on the back of an alpaca. And so the kids have to buzz in and go, Obama on a llama. Or a ball on a wall. Or I don't know. Name other rhyming words. I can't think of that off the top of my head. So, anyway. That's our game. We'll play that. We'll do a quick memory verse review. But we have a memory verse Connect 4 game in our small groups. We'll get that in a second. Like I said, we'll have the story. Angel comes to Mary. And then in our small group, we'll have 2 times for questions. The first one's the reflection, wait and see. The second part's the discussion. I want you to know, I don't care which one you do, or if you do the first reflection question and then like you jump to discussion or anything like that. This is a great thing for you and your group to discuss. That's how discussion questions work. So, the discussion questions are, what if you were Mary? How would you feel if God sent someone to you and told you that you would do something impossible? Would you feel nervous, overwhelmed, happy? Because Mary must have felt a lot of those things too, but she trusted God's promises and she waited to see God do impossible things through her. That to me is the craziest part of Mary's story. Is the angel shows up and he's like, hey, you're pregnant. She's like, hey, that's going to lead to me getting divorced and or killed. But I trust you. But I trust God. Like, God sent you, so I trust what you're saying, and I trust God, and may his will be done. And, like, that's the craziest thing, is that she just kind of goes, okay, this could ruin my life. But let's do it, because this is God's idea. And so we're gonna start with that. But again, for your first graders, potentially, that's a lot. That's a big, heavy thing. Even just like asking them to like understand full emotions sometimes can just be crazy. So if you want to just go to the discussion questions, what was the name of the angel that God sent to tell us about Jesus, or to tell about Jesus? Why would Mary have thought what the angel was saying would be impossible? Maybe don't get into that. How did Mary respond to the message? What is something you are waiting on God to do in your life? These are questions that you can ask your kids, and they're going to be able to answer. So, like I said, you don't have to ask every single question. That's never what I'm expecting. I want you to have a good discussion with your kids. I want you to figure out what's going on in their lives, what's going on in their brains, what's going on in their hearts. How can we be praying for them? Use these questions to get to that. Go, hey, if you have a kid who won't talk about anything, ask them, encourage them. Hey, Jason, you want to answer? But if he's like, no, I don't, then just don't worry about that. Go on. And then when you have that kid who really does want to open up about something, encourage that. So that's the discussion questions. Like I said, then we have our memory verse Connect 4, where we will have basically little pieces with parts of the memory verse on it. I'll break it into 4 parts, and then we'll have a grid either on the wall or on, I'm thinking probably on a whiteboard, or on like a poster board. It'll be a white poster board. So we'll do that. And then basically kids say the memory verse, and if they say it right, then they get to put their piece down on the board, and then you're trying to get your 4 in a row. Think of it as an extended tic-tac-toe. And then finally, you'll pray to close out your group. And then, by the way, I just want to share a win. On Thursday night, I had a girl, my group, I said, who wants to pray to close out our group? I didn't tell them I had like a written prayer that they could pray, and no one would do it. And they're like, well, why don't you do it? And I said, I pray for our group every single week. Why don't you do it? And they're like, no, I'm not going to pray. I'm like, why aren't you going to pray? They go, I'm embarrassed. I go, well, do you pray by yourself? Yeah. Okay, do that. Like, do that out loud. And by the way, I had 5th graders. I said, do that out loud. And they said, finally, one of the girls goes, fine, I'll pray. I go, awesome. Here, you can just read this. And I just gave her that. She's like, what? I can, like, this counts? And I go, well, if you mean it, if you're talking to God when you say it, like, don't just read it like, dear God, blah, 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 blah. I was like, I mean it, but it's the prayer that I have copied and pasted into this as a jumping off point. But I was like, man, we got a kid who is so nervous and doesn't want to step up to pray that they finally went, okay, fine, I'll do it. And I was okay, let's make this easy for them. Let's make this something that they will want to do again. And then here's my other secret. I gave her, it was a girl, I gave her Andy's candies like as a reward afterwards. And again, I won't every single time, but I want kids to know like, hey, when it's time to pray, like I want you to be excited about that. And so like I'm guessing this Thursday when I go, hey, who wants to pray to close this out? They're going to fight over it because they think they're going to get candy. And this week I probably will give them candy as well, but I won't every single week. But again, just want you to know, I used that prayer, just that one sentence prayer. And it just like eased that girl, she's like, fine, I'll do it. I'm really nervous about it. I said, okay, cool. Here, don't be nervous. Read this. So that was great. Finally, after the prayer, the impossible shot. And so you're just going to have like a bucket, and we have a bunch of them in Kidmin, and we'll have find a little ball this big, whatever you need. And then you're going to set it up and just let kids try and do the impossible. And so make it really hard, make it really far away, or balance it on, if you're in the big room, I have that stool that I sit on. You put it on the stool. That way, like if the ball hits it, it just falls off. And so it makes it really, really tough. Because again, we're talking about God, wait and see, God will do the impossible. So give an impossible shot to try and shoot. So that's the week. Like I said, we'll open with a game, Merry Christmas to the kids, and then we'll have our story, and then our small group. So have that discussion, just again, figure out what's going on in their lives. But keep in mind, you're not going to see your kids for like, gosh, if you're a Thursday nighter, you're not going to see your kids for 3 weeks, because you're not going to see them on the 24th. You're not going to see them on the 31st. You won't see them until the, 5th, 6th, whatever day that is. So man, take this out with your kids, have some fun with them, pray for them, like really pray for them, and go, hey guys, I'm not gonna see you for a couple of weeks. Let me pray for you. And then after you discussion questions, memory verse, and again, give out candy too. When they say the verse right, give them an Andy's candy, prayer, and then finally a game, let them play, and we'll have a holly jolly Christmas. So guys, one last thing, if you have not signed up to volunteer on Christmas services the 22nd, 23rd, 24th in early childhood, because we won't have Kidmin, but we will have early childhood. It's not a requirement. I'm not saying like, by the way, you have to do this. But some of you have said, hey, I'm going to sign up. I just got to figure out when that works for my family. I don't know what service we're going to go to, all that kind of stuff. If you could let me know when you're going to jump in, so I can get that plugged in, so that way we're going to send out a message here pretty soon, just going like, hey, here are open spots. But if you want to get a spot that's guaranteed for you, do that. If you are a parent and your child is an elementary school student, they can come in with us. Like they can come in with you and help with the 2-year-olds or with the 4-year-olds or whatever it is. So, if you have an elementary school student that would like to be a part of that, bring them in, let them be a part of that. So that's what we've got going on. Have a great day. Have a great week. I'll see you on Thursday. I'll see you on Sunday. And then we'll all have a Merry Christmas. So guys, have a great day. Peace out.